This episode is sponsored by Bluehost. You're an ideas person, and when inspiration strikes, it strikes fast. Shouldn't your web hosting keep up? When shared hosting isn't enough, Bluehost's advanced solutions scale with your website, business, and your ideas, no matter how bold. With NVMe storage, built-in security, and enhanced CPU power, sites load faster and handle more data than ever before. Bluehost's advanced hosting keeps you online and growing. So go ahead, keep those ideas flowing. Shop plans now at bluehost.com.
Most people trust hosting reviews, the 5-star ratings, the best host of 2026 roundups, the affiliate blog that just happens to rank first. But if you've been in the industry long enough, you know how much of that is theater, paid placements, undisclosed commissions, and review sites that quietly bury anyone who doesn't pay to play. Today's guest decided that wasn't good enough. You're listening to WP Legends, where we bring the builders, operators, and ecosystem leaders shaping the future of WordPress and open web to the mic. I'm Gautam, host of the show. Today, I'm joined by Michael Pearce, founder and CEO of Hosting Verified, an independent community-driven platform built on simple but radical idea. Hosting reviewers should be honest, verified, and free of noise. What makes Michael's story interesting is that he didn't come at this from the marketing side. He came at it from the inside. Before Hosting Verified, he spent years as a system administrator at Server Mania, providing technical support across VPS, dedicated servers, and a lot more. And in true builder fashion, he's not just running a review platform. He's not just about to launch a review platform. He's learning software development and shipping his own tools along the way, including a WHMCS free agent sync module. So today we are going to talk about the real estate of hosting reviews, why trust is broken, what he learned running infrastructure at scale, and what it actually takes to build something honest in an industry built on affiliate incentives. Michael, welcome to WP Legends.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here today. So let's dive into your journey. Before this podcast, you were telling me that you actually unfortunately met with a motorbiking accident and it gave you a lot to think. So care to tell the audience all about your story?
Yeah, so I was in the industry I've been in the industry for 18 years. I sort of left the industry about 6 years ago, and I went into driving buses and coaches, and I just had enough of the industry a little bit, to be honest. So, and then unfortunately in 2023, I had a motorcycle accident, which took me out of work. I've been unemployed since, unfortunately. But ever since then, I've been working with AI and, bringing back my original knowledge of the industry and things like that to, well, I mean, I'm now I'm a customer of the industry, and that is what made me think of the Hosting Verified idea, because all the available options out there are either affiliate ran or pay to rank, or they're biased. And I think it's time that the industry needs a proper, trustful platform that they can go to and get the correct and right information that they deserve.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Most of the platforms usually are, focusing on affiliate stuff. And that's what's the problem is in this ecosystem. But before we dive more into that, you spent many, many years in the VPS ecosystem, hosting, infrastructure, hardware layer, etc. Right? So is it because you had so much knowledge that you decided, okay, cool, I really just want to focus on this now, and you didn't think of doing anything else?
Yeah. Well, when I left the industry, I wanted to start my own hosting company, but I didn't have the capital. It's not cheap to start a hosting company. It really is not cheap, especially not now with all the price increases and things with the likes of cPanel and everything else. It's just impossible.
True.
So I went a year trying to do that, and I just got to the year point and realised it's just a waste of time. And then I put my focus on other things. I started looking through LinkedIn and Reddit and things like that, and just seeing just how messy the industry still is. Really, there's no there's no proper review platform to go to. I mean, you've got Trustpilot and all the other ones, but I mean, they're under constant scrutiny. One of them is currently going through trial in Italy because of fake review. I think the hosting industry definitely need something better, and that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I actually did a lot of deep dive in this because I noticed that a lot of hosting companies, they have Google reviews, they have Trustpilot reviews, they have YouTube reviews, all kinds of reviews, right? And I noticed on Google they were getting a lot of beating, especially because upset customers, they just went on Google and quickly gave a negative review. All this. But good customers, happy customers generally do not go, which is like a broken problem in this. It's not only necessarily with hosting.
You generally don't hear from a customer unless something bad's happened. You never usually hear from them when something good happens.
I know. So the review system is definitely kind of broken, and people should not just blindly look at. What I was alluding to was like people should not, like end users, customers, some average Joe around the block looking for hosting, shared hosting, $5 hosting, should not just like look at Google reviews and make a decision. Look at Trustpilot, look at G2, look at some blog articles, and then make an informed decision. That's what I was alluding to.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, that's the idea behind Hosting Verified, is to bring all of that into one. So you're going to have reviews, you're going to have comparisons. The comparisons will be proper schema data of the hosting provider. Anything that we can extract from that provider, we will. And that's what will build the ranking, really. Do you know what I mean? It will be all these different things that will be getting calculated to give that hosting provider that final score, basically. We'll have like an offers list and things like that. We're going to have a community as well. So there's going to be plenty of discussion going on. I think it's going to be a really great idea once it goes live.
I like that. And how do you just mentioned the word community. So let me ask you this. There's so many forums, there's Reddit, etc.
Yeah.
But I wonder, okay, how do you build a community-driven platform without turning it either into a pylon or a, I don't know, pay-to-play scheme? Let me ask you that. How do you ensure that in general, grand scheme of things?
You got me now.
Yeah.
Hey, so the plan with Hosting Verified is basically to make it a subscription business. Web hosting providers, there'll be obviously a free tier. Hosting providers will register or sign up for various tiers or have different opportunities for them, whether it'll be analytics of how many hits they got on their company page, things like that. So that's where the money side of things is going to come from. The community, I realised it's going to get quite messy, or it could get quite messy, but it's going to probably be the last thing to be released. We're going to do staged releases, so it'll be reviews first, and then we'll go into comparisons, and then and then I think community will be the last one because obviously we're being a UK business, we have to be really careful with privacy and all that sort of stuff.
Of course,
and community guidelines and things like that. So I think once it comes to that point, I think there'll be a lot of legalities and things that need to be sorted out before it comes live. But I think basically what I would say is my idea around Hosting Verified was basically bringing Trustpilot and Web Hosting Talk together in one place, and then having, say, like for instance, hostedvice.com.
Maybe.
Where they have the different comparisons and things.
Yeah, I was.
So basically, it's a mix of three companies in one.
I like that.
It's basically what I'm trying to do.
I like that actually a lot, and I've been doing a lot of research into this as well. And I think the one thing which reviewers miss, and I look at some YouTube videos, like very, very few actually go into and battle test and deploy a website on maybe 10 hosting platforms, the same site, same database, same everything, and battle test it. I think that's a true testament in some ways. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
going that extra mile.
I will say that my development experience so far hasn't been very good. I'm 6 months in with Hosting Verified, and I still don't have a website. I'm very close. I'm very close. Maybe a couple of days, but as we were talking about before, I've got so much on, so many different projects running through my head. It's just but I'm almost at a stage where I've got my AI workstation working exactly how I need it to, and then that's when the development will really hit ground and we'll get moving.
All I know is the biggest challenge right now is to stay focused because so many ideas keep coming your way, right?
Yeah, well, it's 16 to 18 hours a day, and my mind's a very active mind. I'm my own worst enemy. I could be just browsing a completely unrelated website, and I'll be like, "Oh, I can make a plugin for this website." Now that I've got the power of AI to do development, and I know there's loads of people out there that say, "Oh, you can't use AI to develop. You can't use AI to write content. You can't do this. You can't do that." Well, that's what I say to you. It's there. I'm going to use it. And it's working really well. For the last 6 months, it's not worked at all, but now it's starting to work. So we're getting somewhere.
I totally get that. At the end of the day, I think you just need to know how to prompt really well, and you obviously need. And there's one thing you cannot buy is imagination. Okay, that's where that's what my stance is. Okay, so if you can imagine, you can probably deploy, and obviously you have to work hard, no doubt about that. To spend the hours, you have to bring in the hours, right? So coming back to hosting for a second, okay, in general, I've heard this word, and I would love to bring this subject with you, especially because you've been in this for so long. Cheap hosting, okay? Cheap hosting. Let's discuss this topic. I'm going to discuss this topic with a lot of my guests, okay? So let me ask you this. Is cheap hosting ever actually cheap? Where does the hidden cost show up, in your opinion? Because you've been so embedded in this ecosystem for so long. You'll be the person to answer that.
So web hosting is never cheap. It might seem cheap on first view. A hosting company's got a deal on or something, $199 for the first month, or something silly like that. But it never stays cheap. Because once you get onto that host and you start deploying things or uploading files for a standard website or even email, you can quickly start hitting limits such as IO and other limits that aren't shown to you before you purchase. I think that's a lot of trouble that people experience with in the hosting industry. There's a lot of it is marketing. There's and it's the same in any industry, but the hosting industry is definitely one for not telling the full truth, especially the larger companies. They give a good deal. They bring them in, and then on the renewal, it doubles or triples.
True.
And then service drops and things like that. So cheap hosting it doesn't exist. It might start off cheap, but it won't stay cheap.
It just creeps up on you, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, like all these AI bills you keep hearing people talk about.
I actually have to tell a story on this. Very recently, this happened to me because I've been always building websites on WordPress. Very recently, I started experimenting with headless world also, right? Everybody is. And I discovered Ruelle and Netlify. Okay, I didn't even know what they are. Trust me, no clue. But now I know because I've been, doing a lot of things with them too. Obviously, I know everybody, like all the others, like Pressable, Namecheap, WP Engine, whatever. Sorry, but Ruelle, Netlify, had no clue. And then recently, one of my projects, I was helping my dad with something, and that project, it was like the $20 Ruelle, but it just went up to $1,000, $1,000, and then it went to $2,000 within 2 weeks. I was like, what the hell is happening? Long story short, I won't bore you. There was something called as ISR. I don't know what ISR is, okay? But then I started learning, educating myself and the caching, etc. And long story short, because Ruelle and Netlify are so busy, and of course, understandable because millions and millions of people are deploying on them nowadays, that their support teams take like several weeks to come through. Eventually, they did help me out a little bit. I had to do on my own brainstorming, and we sorted it out, long story short, which was something to do with bots in China. by the way. Okay. Anyways, the point is that this is happening. This is 2026, and scope creep with hosting world. This happens so quickly, and it can be a fault of the hosting provider not educating the users, or it could be also the users not understanding this. And I wonder who has the ultimate accountability. Is it the developer, is it the end user, or the hoster, in your opinion, when this things like this happen?
Okay, so just come up with the question again. That was quite long-winded. So you just ask me the question again.
Whenever there are problems, let me just say any problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
People scream and shout at the developer. If they don't have a developer, they always scream and shout at the hosting company. Is it fair?
No. See, the problem with that, like for a website owner that isn't the developer themselves, they just direct other people to do whatever they want done. You know, if they don't have a developer, say, who like generally manages the website for them, and something happens to their website, the first thing they do, like you say, they'll come straight to the web host, and it's all our fault. You know, but a website won't just break on its own. Something still has to have been done in the background, whether it be from the user or whether it be something that's changed on the web host. You know, and that's one thing I saw a lot when I was working in hosting was, you know, so a customer will come to us and say, I haven't done anything, I haven't touched anything, and then you know. But there's obviously something wrong with the website. We look at it and like, well, there's been no changes to the server. So, you know, what's happened? And when you dig into it further, you find that there's maybe been something that's happened in WordPress, for instance, and it's just triggered something and broken something. It's quite common, to be honest with you. Just how often things just break. You know,
let's talk about malware. Think about just malware. WordPress websites get infected all the time, and the first thing to do, people go is like to the hosting company. Now, some hosting companies will do it for free. Some people will not do it for free, and they do it. But people are unhappy, and that's why they get a lot of negative reviews to the hosting companies also. Like, how do we sort this out? Like, what do end users do?
Well, I mean, when it comes down to malware, I mean, it's a very difficult topic.
I know.
I mean, like we've got the likes of Immunify 360. We've got is it PatchStack?
Yes.
I don't really know too much about them. I know of them. I haven't really looked at them much at the moment. I haven't gotten that far into my workload yet for that. And then I think there's Monarchs, I think, as well. There's that one as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard good things about them. You know, I guess they do the job, but nothing will ever truly be safe from malware.
That's true.
Unfortunately, the hackers and the attackers and things like that, they'll always be one step ahead. They'll always find something. You know, it's the job of these protection companies that are, you know, likes of PatchStack and Monarchs and Immunify, to obviously try and prevent and help with that sort of thing. And when it comes down to the web host, well, your website getting malware isn't a fault of the web host.
I know.
You know, mostly it does. You know, obviously the web host, you know, has to have that security in place from the start, such as Immunify or Cloud, you know, and PatchStack and Monarchs. You know, so obviously if the web host doesn't have that, or you know, it's them that's at fault really. But then, you know, yeah, it's not the web host's fault that you've got.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. We get a lot of business because of hack site repair with infected sites, gambling, pornography being launched on websites, etc. all the time. And people then say like, why is it happening again and again? You are on a shared server. Why don't you upgrade to a managed server? You know, now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always comes down to, well, yeah, I've cleaned it. I'm not fixing it. I've done that a lot of times. You know, I've someone's come to me with a hacked website. I've found why it's hacked. I've fixed not fixed it. I've cleaned it at least. And then they've come back to me a week later and say, "Oh, I've been hacked again. Well, you didn't do anything." Well, no, I told you I'd clean it. I didn't fix it. At that point, I wasn't a developer. I said to them, "Look, I've cleaned it. You now need to go and find a developer to fix it." and they didn't. And lo and behold, a week later, they were back again saying that they've been hacked.
Yeah.
So, being hacked is not a web host's fault, providing they obviously have the bog standard security involved, which 100% of them should.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that is my 100% stop note on it. It is not the web host's fault.
Yes, I agree with you 100% on this. But one thing I want to say to all the web hosts, what you can do is have some sort of a red strip, banner, email notification, something. Change your password from admin12345. We can see it. That means hackers can see it. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just giving a hypothetical example. Install SMTP. You will not get contact forms. I do not see this with web hosts. Am I crazy? Am I crazy here? No, right? It is something so simple. Education in the most simplest way.
Yeah,
that's my message.
Yeah, there is certainly not enough education in the industry. Web hosts and that, they all claim, we have these blogs that have these guides and we have these knowledge bases that have all this information. Do you think anyone is reading that stuff?
No.
Do you honestly think anyone is reading that? That's why you've got 500 plus open tickets in your queue, because nobody reads that stuff.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And I've seen that over the 18 years I've been in the industry, that like when I first started, people were a little bit more technical at the time. And it just seems like the industry keeps going around in circles. You'll get technical people and then it'll come back around to beginners. Do you know what I mean? That's like where we're now coming into the industry, where AI is becoming a big thing and everyone's wanting the final product. They're not wanting, they're not wanting just standard web hosting. They're wanting a website. They're wanting a business. Yeah.
True.
But what people forget is we've had all this stuff for years. Like we had RV website builder. Yeah, now that's going back a few years. That's showing how long I've been in this industry. RV website builder. I'm sure it's still around, but I don't think it's as big as what it used to be. But there's your site builder. Yeah.
Yes.
We've had machine learning for God knows how many years. Put both of them together, and there you go. You've got your AI website builder.
Yeah.
This stuff has been around for years. It's just taking someone to have that light bulb moment and go, oh, there we go.
Yeah, I know exactly. So on this, to add on this, if you are setting up a WordPress site, or if you are just giving advice to somebody who's setting up a WordPress website for the very first time, what would be your quick checklist? What would you tell them?
Firstly, I'd make sure that they've got all the security and stuff. Like the hoster they're using is fully secured and everything's up to date and stuff like that. I don't trust auto installers, so I would always install it manually myself by setting up the database and things like that manually, and then uploading the files and and then once you're in, I can't name any plugins because I haven't used WordPress that much for a while, but I would certainly start looking at security plugins first. I always use WordFence. That's like the first plugin I install whenever I'm using WordPress.
Good one.
And then, I mean, it just sort of goes from there, really. I would just make sure that, you're removing any themes that you're not using, remove any plugins you're not using.
Yes.
Make sure your permissions and that are set correctly. Switch off anything you're not using, like XML, PC, or whatever it is. And, just generally do some preliminary security checkups and things like that, just making sure it's fully secure.
Yeah. And who are if you want to name some hosting companies which you truly admire, whom would you name?
None.
Come on, there's so many. I'm sure you'll find someone which you like and admire.
I'd say in that, actually, I will give some kudos to OVH Cloud. I've been with them since I came back into the industry, and they have improved tenfold. Now, I remember many years ago in the industry, OVH was terrible. I mean, they were bad. But over the years, they have improved so much. So if anything, I will say kudos to OVH. They have improved a lot. They've definitely gotten a lot better. Especially their latest VPS packages as well. I mean, they're massive and they're cheap as chips. And I'm running everything I do on that at the moment, and it's been over a year now, and I've not had any downtime, no issues, no nothing, and I'm very surprised. It doesn't sound like OVH at all, but yeah, they've definitely come leaps and bounds.
Yeah. Their rating is actually pretty good. Also, their Trustpilot reviews and everything. The reason I'm learning and reading more and more, like, of course, I'm embedded in the hosting ecosystem. But right before the podcast, I was telling you, I've been working on my own hosting directory.
Yeah,
very different from what you were doing, called hostlist.io. Okay, it's live for several months. And SEO started picking up, traffic started picking up, and I said, something interesting is happening. I should start spending more time on it. And then I developed my algorithm. I won't bore you with that. You can have a look at later. But all the rankings and ratings are being pulled from G2, Reddit, Trustpilot, Google, this sector, and I keep on seeing the top 50 or top 100, and I see what's happening because I just built out the algorithm and it's just building it on its own. And that's how, I even discover hosting company, even I haven't heard of, from Germany, from Australia. And there's some incredible companies out there.
Yeah, there are, yeah.
But there's some names which are coming over and over again, and the reviews just through the moon. And those are something like SiteGround, Hostinger. Okay, obviously the big names are there like GoDaddy, Automatic, WP Engine, whatever. Of course, they're there. But the ones, if you think about it deeply, like there is a lot of names which are coming up very recently, and they're making so many waves, like ChemiCloud, JetHost.
I'm seeing a lot about JetHost. I've actually I had an email exchange with
Metodi, Lubomir, the founders.
I had an email. I was introduced to him by someone else, and I see a lot about JetHost. There's ChemCloud as well. I've never heard of them, but I see their name coming up a lot. There's new names coming up. There's definitely new names coming up in the industry.
Yeah, and when it comes to branding, I have a lot of respect for what hosting.com is doing after the A2 acquisition, and they rebranded everything to hosting.com. So they call it domain. Yeah. There's only one of its kind, hosting.com.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I seen that last year, I couldn't believe it. I thought, how much have they spent on that domain? And then I went and tried and looked around and did some research, and I couldn't find anything. And eventually, it got released how much they actually spent on it, and I was like, how could you get a better domain? But I wouldn't spend that much money on that domain.
I can start a separate podcast just discussing domains and naming a sector, because I've actually interviewed a lot of people in the domain ecosystem because I was curious and learning about them, especially Grant from Atom.com, for example, doing amazing, incredible stuff over there, selling 6-figure, 7-figure domain names over there. Anyways.
That's another thing I've picked up on actually. These last 6 months that I've been really into LinkedIn is just how big the domain industry is. I never realized it was as big as it is. I thought it was just .com, .co.uk, and you got what you got, but no, it is massive, absolutely massive.
It's going to be even
more massive. The amount of domain investors that I've come across as well, it's crazy.
It is. By the way, just so you know, the industry is only becoming bigger because this year, after a decade, there are more TLDs coming up, and it's suspected over 1,000 new TLDs like .run, .show, etc. Yep, this year.
Wow.
This year.
Okay. Wow.
To learn more about this, go to WP Legends and look at Joe Alagna's video from IT.com. Okay.
All right. Okay. I'll have a look at that then.
Yeah. He says a lot about it. He knows exactly how this works, and there's something called as the round, which is coming up this year. People apply applications, bidding and whatever, and they seal bids and they apply for TLDs. So let's see. You can, maybe we can buy a domain called, let's say, I don't know, .tiger or something like that, Michael.tiger, or something like that. So that'd be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing something like that. But anyways, before we come up on time, I want to ask you this, okay? 5 years from now, not 1, not 10, 5 years from now, what does an honest hosting review ecosystem look like to you?
Oh, okay. So for hosting reviews in 5 years, um, I'm hoping there's a lot more trust in the industry through reviews. Especially through obviously my hosting verified work. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to improve the industry. I'm trying to help customers or buyers before they make those mistakes or get themselves locked in, or all the horror stories you hear. A web hosting review for me over the next 5 years would include the plan that they've used on the hosting. It would ask them what they were doing on the hosting. Because if you buy a shared hosting and then try to launch, I don't know, something that you can't put on shared hosting, well, that's why it's basically it's preventing buyers from giving false feedback in a sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone blaming the host because my hosting didn't work. Well, it's because you're trying to use something that you can't use on that hosting.
Yep.
So what hosting verified is all about is protecting the customer by having all that information in front of them and say, well, this one works for you, so go to them.
Yeah. And
it also helps the web host by preventing customers from making up or fabricating information or saying, well, I had a dedicated server. Well, no, you didn't. You had level 1 shared hosting because it's there in black and white. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's going to be a module release for the likes of WHMCS and Blester and Client Exec and things like that that will directly connect to hosting companies. We'll have an API and things like that. That's what we're going to be doing to make sure that these reviews are real, factual, and fair on both sides.
I like that. It requires a lot of time and commitment for sure, no doubt about that. It's not
I've not even finished planning yet, and I'm trying to do planning, building, writing.
But I'll give one thing to you. You're trying to build this in public, which is very, very, very tough to do, anyways. So good. So I wish you the best of luck for that, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. On that note, we'll end the show. Thank you so much for being on WP Legends, Michael. It was great talking to you. I've been seeing you on LinkedIn for so long. I thought like maybe it's a good way to connect, host you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to host you today. I wish you.
Thank you very much.
It's a nice sunny day in the UK finally. Yes.
Well,
let's go.
It's a bit windy up here, but there we go.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much. Bye.
Yeah. You have a good day.